On today's episode of Titus and Tate, the Louisville Cardinals have won a basketball game.
Yes.
Break good time. So we will be spending the entire show, I think, breaking down their national title.
Right.
Is it going to happen, Tate?
Is there a path? Is that that's what you're saying?
Well, there literally is. I mean, people forget this is not the NBA. You do not have to qualify for the playoffs. There will be a moment in March where we will look up at the ACC tournament bracket and we will say, if Louisville wins all of these games, they are in the NCAA tournament. And then if they win 6 more,
anything can happen, right? Anyone can get hot in March. I mean, just listen to people talk about Carolina from last year. Anybody can get hot in March.
So is Louisville this year's Carolina? I don't know. We'll talk about it, but they have defeated the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers in a thrilling game. Who saw that coming? Also, big win for Sean Miller and Xavier. Not even happening on the court. Sean Miller, as expected, as first reported by anybody who's been paying attention to any of this stuff, really. Sean Miller gets basically no punishment for having for what was the story that he offered DeAndre Ayton 100,000? Was that the story that Schlabach went with? That we have him on wiretap.
That it was the wiretap with Mark Schlabach, but then also Raleigh Hawkins is the one that ended up being, I think it was $60,000 was right. What ended up being Book Richardson's big thing. Yeah.
Would you ever have imagined that day that it led SportsCenter, Tate? It was like breaking news, like they're covering like, you know, the most important shit ever, and they're like, okay, cut it. Nobody cares. We're coming in now. Breaking news: Sean Miller wiretap, $100,000. DeAndre Ayton. This man is going down. He's going down now. Tune in, folks. All that coming up next. And then, as it turns out, he actually got no punishment whatsoever.
Right, and now he's scot-free, and Arizona's okay, and we move.
What a world!
And the IARP does it again.
What a world. What else we're going to talk about? UCLA, dude. Is the Kevin Willard honeymoon over already for Maryland?
Yeah.
Or is UCLA awesome? Both? What's going on? I don't know, but my God, what a beatdown UCLA handed Maryland the other night.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think UCLA is back in the zeitgeist. We can talk about them in a championship way again. And, for Maryland, like, let's just let them be happy, right? Like, I'm not going to turn on Maryland so early in the season. I still think we're officially stamped ahead of schedule. We're ahead of schedule in the Kevin Willard era.
Ahead of schedule. Legacy, Colin. Ahead of schedule.
Ahead of schedule. Yeah.
I got some frauds. Maybe we'll talk a little Alabama beating up on Memphis. Tide keep rolling. A lot of fun stuff coming up. But first,
Woody Durham.
All right, Tim, what do you want to open up with? Louisville? Is that the story of college basketball? I think it might be. I mean, like we have both. Have we both, or is it just me? I feel like you're on board with this. Like, we've become enamored with this team, with this Louisville team, with the idea that like one of the great college basketball programs is on the precipice of 0-10. And just as everyone was getting ready to dance on the grave of an 0-10 basketball team, they said not so fast.
Right.
And did the unthinkable. And the unthinkable is they actually exerted some effort on a basketball court for the first time all season.
Who would have thought energy and effort could make something happen so magical? And as Mike Rutherford said on our show, all eyes were on December 17th. That was the game. We all had it circled. It was this Saturday. We knew Florida A&M was coming to town. And now it looks like it could be a win streak for the Louisville Cardinals.
Or is it a trap game? Or is it a trap game?
Right.
Florida A&M's a trap game. I saw one of those apologies for not remembering the name. If you're the proprietor of this publication, I apologize for not giving you due credit. But there's one of those algorithm websites. Boy, there are a lot of them. Put out a thing that said like basically Louisville was so hot, like they just couldn't miss. And as we always talk about, Tate, you have to make shots to win at this level, and Louisville did that. But they crunched the algorithm, and it said that if they did all the exact same shots, based on like it was like a shot quality type algorithm, based on the shots that Louisville took in that game, they only win that game 20% of the time. So this was like an anomaly. This was
perfect.
This was what they're saying was this is destiny. This was preordained that on this night, the Louisville Cardinals were not going to go 0-10. You can beat Louisville 9 times. You cannot beat them 10 times.
Yes.
and Louisville won, and they won like, I don't want to say like convincingly, as though like I really genuinely am talking myself into them being a good team, but this was not a situation where like they needed a miracle at the end of the game. Yeah, they were in the driver's seat for most of the game, you know, and
right.
you kept waiting. Yeah, you kept waiting for some disaster to strike, and it never did.
And it proved the theory, like you said, that make shots. When you make shots, all things are possible. Anything is possible. And the funniest part about all this is that, you know, Kenny Payne has obviously taken a lot on the chin. Everyone has talked about, you know, is he out? You know, and then he came out and he had the quote that we loved where he said, "We haven't seen rock bottom yet." And I love that as soon as he said that, they actually turned things around, because I think the team was like, wait a second.
Wait, what?
What do you mean? I thought this was rock bottom. I can't go any farther. Well, it was James Cameron in the abyss. Like, you know, he was trying to bring the bar up, and he just kept going deeper and deeper in the sea. And Kenny Payne was swimming around, and the team was like, not anymore. Al Ellis was like, not anymore. I'll put up 30 points. I'll save our season. And let's be honest, 0-9 looks a whole lot better than 0-10, right? I mean, that is getting on the verge.
Yeah.
Of, oh, wow, we got a real problem, and Kenny Payne has to get fired. I think he saved his job. I think this one win against the Hilltoppers might have saved his job.
Well, hold on. Is that what Kenny Payne meant when he said we haven't hit rock bottom? And what actually is rock bottom is Kenny Payne saving his job. And if you're a Louisville fan,
Right.
You're like, oh, wait.
Yeah, rock bottom is year two. Year two,
Yeah.
rock bottom.
Wait a second. I was so busy celebrating us getting our first win that I didn't even see the bigger picture, which is that, oh no, is this
the storm continues?
Is the storm going to go on for another year? Congratulations to Louisville, though. It is, in all seriousness, man. Like, it is. It's miserable. There's no other word to describe. Like it's actual misery to you know. I don't think that the line is going to be too long of people that are you know, trying to be too sympathetic towards Louisville basketball. It's not. You know, when you are a big program like them, people sometimes do love it when you're down and all that. But
right.
Boy, I seriously wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. Nobody should be 0-10. They shouldn't.
No,
like even Cal does not deserve to be 0-10. Nobody deserves to be 0-10.
Right, especially when you're a prestigious program that has such a history, and it's a necessary cog in the machine in college basketball. I think that's what it comes down to. You and we root for college basketball at large, and Louisville should be good.
Even if you hate Louisville, you need Louisville to be relevant for you to hate them. And You can pretend, even if you're a Kentucky fan, you can pretend like you actually love their misery. But we all know that the real misery, if you're a Kentucky fan, the real Louisville misery is Louisville thinking to have a team that's good enough to win the national championship, and then they lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament. That is the best feeling ever if you're a hater. Mm-hmm. Haters don't like I don't know, maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but for me, I'm a professional hater now, Tate. Like, this is something I do for a living. I wake up every day. I figure out hate. And I'm telling, like, I don't want teams to go, oh, and whatever. I want them to think. I want the fans that I don't like. I want them to think that everything is great. Pull the carpet out from under them, and watch them have to deal with the fallout. That's the real joy in hating. And so that's all I'd say. It's like, nobody wishes Louisville to go 0-10. They didn't. Congratulations. Hang the banner. I mean that literally. Put the 2013 banner back up, and away we go. And there it is.
I will say one last thing about Louisville is the Pitino watch. I mean, you are the man who has been making the memes. You've been working hard.
Yeah.
You've been crunching the numbers. You've been doing the math. Is the Pitino to Louisville conversation?
This hurts.
Is it ending?
This hurts. Yeah.
Corner towards the worst, because it feels like the momentum, at least from what I've heard, is Rick Pitino wants to stay at a private school, and as
Georgetown's the momentum.
Right.
Georgetown's the momentum. Right. Georgetown is officially number 1 in the Pitino sweepstakes. So that's did you we were, someone tagged us on that tweet, right? Some guy like made a Photoshop with Pitino that got like way more traction than it should have. That
as if you and I broke the news. Like it was basically like, as reported by Titus to Georgetown confirmed. That has not been reported on the show. But I did appreciate that it was floating around.
I saw way too many people, and by way too many, I mean more than one, that was like, hold on, where's this report?
Right.
Link me to this report. Where's the report that Pitino's going to Georgetown?
I saw diehard Georgetown fans arguing with each other over it. Like, this is not what we need for our program. Why? And other guys jumping in saying, yes, it is. This is exactly what we need. Which conversation.
Yeah. Pitino to it does hurt. Pitino to Louisville hurts, man. Because I think the Pitino to Louisville path was them fully bottoming out. I think like the move was, if you wanted Pitino to Louisville, was Louisville loses to Western Kentucky and then they lose to Florida A&M in the All Eyes on December 17th game. And we go
with the nation
watching, and we go into a Christmas break. I assume that's their Christmas break, right? Or they play Kentucky after that.
They play Kentucky, I think, on the 31st, so it's after Christmas.
Oh, it's after, but we go into like some sort of break, and it's just like Kenny Payne's around the family a little more. He just decides to resign then. And then maybe David Padgett comes back. What the hell is he doing? He should. I told Rutherford my idea for Louisville moving forward is that Padgett should be the permanent interim coach.
Anytime that
anytime they needed, like it felt like Barry Alvarez did with Wisconsin football until they literally just had an interim coach this year. But it felt like forever. Like anytime Wisconsin was like, we need a coach, they just pushed the button and Barry Alvarez appeared, and it's like, I'll do it.
And was somehow ready, like knew exactly what they were supposed to run, knew all the personnel. You're like, what is Barry doing? Is he like ghost coaching at this point?
Yeah. I want Padgett to be that for Louisville, though. He's just the break glass in case of emergency guy, and he's the permanent interim. Last year, that's what he should have been that instead of Danny Manning. He should have been their interim. Anyway, enough of Louisville. Can we talk UCLA a little bit? This UCLA team that beat the absolute brakes off of Maryland. It was, I don't know how else to just like this was over before it started. This was I mean it UCLA jumped out to what was it, 7-0 at the under the under 16 the first time out. It's 7-0, and at that point, I mean, if you turned the game off, you didn't miss much the rest of the way other than Hawkes,
Singleton hit some shots.
Singleton. I love Singleton. Can I just say that like David Singleton is a guy who has I don't know how this has happened, but every time I watch him play, he does not miss. I've never seen this man miss a shot ever. And I know that let me pull up the box score, because I think he missed a shot last night according to the box score. But according to my eyeballs, he was 7 for 10, 4 for 5 from 3, had 18 points. I didn't see any of those misses. I'm telling you, I didn't see a single miss. This guy, like, he's got to be the best. I don't know I don't know how else to describe it. There's got to be guys like that maybe I'm speaking to somebody out there. They know what I'm talking about. That like you catch the guy on the right night and you're like, this guy is incredible. That has been David Singleton his entire career at UCLA. It's like every single night I watch him, I'm like, this guy, he's league bound, right? And then it's like, no, this is actually his 7th year at UCLA. And I'm like, why is he coming off the bench still? How is he not? And then you look up like his game log, and there'll be games where he scores 2 points, goes 1 for 9, whatever it is. And I'm like, how is this possible? Every time I watch this guy, he doesn't miss. Anyway,
18 points in 24 minutes last night. So that shows you something about his game.
He was talking that shit too, dude.
Yeah, of course, because he's been there, like you said, for so long. I mean, he was in Maui the first time around when we were there in 2019. We were like, who's this guy that can shoot? He wears your number, so maybe that's another reason obviously that you like him, because I'm a fan as well. But I just want to point out Jalen Clark, because I love Jaime Jaquez. I love Tiger Campbell. We've been talking about those guys for 5 years, it feels like, at this point, or maybe even longer. I don't even know. It all kind of warps together. But I think Clark is the best perimeter wing defender in college basketball.
Whoa.
Put it out there. He is on my watch list officially. He's on my Wooden watch list. TM. He is up there. He is trending up, but I love watching him play. And I do think that he is, kind of waited his turn, and he has gotten better. And weirdly, he's a perfect Mick Cronin player. I didn't think that originally when he got there. It didn't feel like he was going to turn into one of those guys, but he's bought all the way in. And I love this UCLA identity as a team. They have a championship identity, championship DNA. And Maryland, don't get too upset about this, but unfortunately, the 2 big games that you played, you kind of came out flat and got blown out for the most part. You did fight back against Tennessee, but these 2 games were the chance to kind of get a litmus test on who you are. And UCLA really answered the bell, and I'm excited to see them this weekend in New York, because I think they're a really good basketball team, and I also don't think they're even close to their potential yet. I think they're still figuring out who's the guy. And Amari Bailey hasn't even found his footing yet. And when he does, I think Amari Bailey can be really good for this team. So UCLA, I'm very excited about.
Yeah, Jalen Clark is one of those dudes that we were talking about Brazil at Arkansas, where you could almost convince yourself he's a freshman just for whatever reason. Like he like he's improved so much that even
Like,
if you watch, yeah, is this the guy that whose mom's dating Drake? Is that the guy? And you're like, no, that's the other guy. That's the guy who's actually the freshman. Jaylen Clark's been here for a few years. They're like, no, that can't be. I've watched UCLA for the last 2 or 3 years. I've never seen this guy. And you're like, well, I guess you weren't watching close enough. Yeah, he's been incredible this year. I'm an Andre Jackson guy when it comes to the best wing defender. So I can't go as far as you, but I'm not going to push back too much because he is swarming. He like there was the one steal where I don't even know how to describe it, but like his recovery, it was like a pick and pop action, and like I think it was like a pick and pop deal, and like he was going to get the guy popping, and I don't know. It's bad to just. It's bad. I can't describe it without having the video. But like he had one steal, yeah, like that was just so such a great display of like his anticipatory way of playing defense and just reading passing lanes. And I don't know, man. Like I'm with you. If he being out there feels like there's multiple going up against him with this UCLA defense when they're locked in like that, it feels like they're playing with 6 or 7 defenders. That was my takeaway from this entire night. I don't think if Maryland and UCLA played 10 more times that UCLA is going to beat them by 27, every single time. I think that this was just like a perfect storm for Maryland in a lot of ways. But man, throughout the entire night, it felt like UCLA was a different caliber of athlete, there's just a different skill set. There's like a different purpose with which they ran their offense, where like Maryland's just running around in circles, trying to catch up with UCLA's ball movement and all that. They very much looked like a national championship team last night. And, I think the haters or the detractors might say that this game says more about Maryland being a fraud than UCLA being good. I don't know if I'm going to say Maryland's not a fraud. Like, I don't know. It's been these last 3 games have been.
The fraud committee's having a tough time.
We're having a tough time. But I don't whether Maryland is or is not as good as we thought they were at the start of the season. I don't think it takes anything away from how good UCLA was. I don't, like that was the story coming out of this game for me is like UCLA is very much a national championship contender.
Absolutely. And it's, one of those games where, you and I love the history of basketball and especially college basketball. And I love when Maryland, hosts a real game, a real home game against UCLA. And especially when you know that Lefty Driesell, when he made Maryland what it is, he basically was like, I want to make this the UCLA of the East Coast. And he put in all these principles in his program that were very much like influenced by what John Wooden did at UCLA. So the fact that you got this game again, and eventually it could be a conference game, right? I mean, if all things go according to plan with the regents, the board of regents in California.
It is, right? Did they
do it?
They did it, and the regents said, yeah, they did. I think they did it like right before this game, which funny enough made it feel like it actually is officially a Big Ten game now. Yeah, I think the announcement was it's been approved, but UCLA has to pay. I think that the number I saw was between $2 and $10 million a year to Berkeley as like a Berkeley tax, which is just
like a left behind tax.
Yes, like I saw someone describe it as calimony, which I thought was genius.
Calimony's amazing, but
calimony's a great term.
That's a great term. But I just want to say in general, to have this game and the fact that we're going to have it in the future, it's a really cool game for college basketball. It's really contrasting styles, but they also have similar, they kind of come from the same place. And I think Maryland as a program maybe has a little bit of a little brother to UCLA syndrome just because of the way that it was compacted and the way it was created and the fact that it came from Lefty Driesell, and that is the identity of the program. So when you go into this game, you kind of expect, or I did expect UCLA to win it, but I also am excited because it feels like Maryland is back in the conversation in a good way, not in an annoying way, not in a turgatory way, but in a exciting way. Despite both these games kind of going.
What do you think? What do you think if you're a Maryland fan? How are we feeling now? How are we?
I think we eat our humble pie. I think we're maybe not as loud yelling at AP voters to look at us, right? I mean, I put out a stupid top 10 list because there's so many rankings early in the season, and I had Tennessee at number 8, and I had all these Maryland fans saying, wait till our game, get ready to swap out Tennessee for Maryland, and then I'm watching it and I'm seeing a Tony on the board and I'm like, no, not quite. So I think, some of the middle fingers, some of the yelling, some of the pumping your chest, like maybe you tone it down a little bit. But I do think that the future is bright. I think Maryland's going to be okay. And I still really like Kevin Willard. I really do. I mean, granted, it didn't look great against UCLA, but I think they're going to be okay in the end.
Well, it's what's the phrase? You'd rather lose with guys you love than win with guys you don't, or I don't know if that's a real thing. But
well, that sounds about right. That's what I would say.
I've heard that sentiment. If that's not a thing, credit me. put together a quote card with assign that to Coach Mark Titus. But that's kind of how I feel about Maryland. Is I think they think that Willard is more their speed, more their tempo, more their vibe than Turchin ever was. And you can't lose by 27 every single home game. That's probably not that's not going to get it done. I think at a certain point, Maryland fans are going to say, "Never mind, we changed our mind, bring back Turchin." But yeah, I'm with you. I'm not super worried about Maryland moving forward. It's just like I don't know. It's pretty clear Maryland is a tier or two below the real national title contenders, which I would throw Tennessee and UCLA certainly in the mix with those guys. And I know they only lost by 3 to Tennessee. I know that they made it, they kind of made a comeback there with the press and Tennessee's throwing the ball all over the place and all that. But I don't know. I saw what I saw, Tate. That was a blowout. Yeah. That was a 3-point blowout. That Tennessee.
I've actually never seen such a 3-point blowout in my life.
That's the biggest 3-point blowout in basketball history. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I guess like if you're trying to find like you're trying to find some copium, as the kids say on the internet, you would say like Maryland is like historically ice cold right now, and they ended up hitting 10 threes in this game. I don't know how or why. They decided to start hitting later in the game, but my God, at the end of the first half, I actually texted Jason Benetti, who was on the call for this, and because it dawned on me, Benetti called the Tennessee game too. And then he was calling the game against UCLA last night. So I texted him at halftime. I'm like, dude, are you a curse to Maryland? Like, I swear to God, like every time I hear your voice and Maryland's on my screen, they're just bricking shots.
Right.
Like, what the hell's going on here? Are you somehow involved with this? Like what were they? They were 2 for 24 against Tennessee. And then I think they were like 1 for, I don't even know what the number was, for 1 for their first like 15 or something, 14.
1 for every shot. I mean, every single time they put up a shot, you expected a brick at a certain point.
They scored 20 points in the first half. Yeah, they ended up scoring 40 in the second half. But, I mean, come on, like UCLA.
And the turnovers at home. I mean, to have that turnovers. I mean, that was the other thing I was impressed with UCLA. They hold on to the basketball. They protect the ball. I mean, like I said, they play like a championship team. And there is worlds of separation between the gameplay of those two teams on display. Like you said, I mean, there's championship level Final Four teams, those aspirations. And Maryland, you hope it's a tournament team, and you hope that they fare well in the Big Ten.
I want to talk about Sean Miller, but
yes.
I also have frauds to get to. And it might be relevant if we save Sean Miller for if you see where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
So should we take a break and then come back and do Fraud Friday?
I think so.
All right, let's do it that way. Let's do it that way. All right, let's do some fraud talk, because I think where we were going with some of these conversations, even the UCLA talk was venturing into stepping on the fraud committee's toes here, Tate. And there's one thing. There's one group of people we do not want to upset. It's the fraud power rankings committee. So let's dive into it. At number 5, Tate, on the fraud power rankings this week, we have Book Richardson, whose name you might remember from the FBI scandal. Who this is a man who worked at the University of Arizona. I believe the number that he went down for was $20,000. He took $20,000 in bribe money for his sins. He spent 90 days in jail. I think I'd have to double check. I should have double checked. That's what a real journalist would do. And unfortunately for our listeners, I suck at my job. But I think it was technically a felony, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
It was?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I remembered it. So
he got a 10-year show cause, which is the maximum
that's exactly it.
Outside of lifetime ban. Yeah.
Well, that's exactly it. Is that this man, he served 90 days in jail, prison, whatever it was.
Federal
prison, 90 days, is a convicted felon now. And yet that still's not enough. We now have to drop the 10-year show cause on top of this. And the reason he's on my fraud power rankings, Tate, is because the IARP who finally released their findings, their ruling on the Arizona Sean Miller situation, we'll call it. And they decided that Sean Miller promoted an atmosphere of compliance, and I forget what the phrasing was, monitored his assistant coaches adequately or something like that.
Right.
And when I read that, I could only think one thing, is that shame on Book Richardson, shame on this man, that Sean Miller is promoting such a compliant way of thinking and is so devoted to following the rules and is just like so overly playing it by the book that Book Richardson, for him to go rogue and defy the orders that Sean Miller was giving him, which were very clearly do not cheat, do not take $20,000 bribes. I just thought, you know what, like when I saw that, I thought 90 days in prison and a felony, that's not enough. This man deserves more. And thankfully they gave him more and gave him 10 years of a show cause penalty. So thank you, NCAA, for seeing what I saw, which is that this man's life has not been ruined nearly enough. We need to ruin it even more. And also Sean Miller did nothing wrong.
I honestly cannot believe how on the nose these IARP rulings are. It is, you and I, this story, when the FBI put that flow chart out, you and I looked at each other and said, this has never been, college basketball will never see a moment.
It'll never be the same. This is the biggest scandal in the history of the sport.
This is the watershed moment of college basketball. Things are over. People forget that, Condoleezza Rice and 12 other people, or I guess 11 other people, were selected to form the Commission on College Basketball. They said that their goal was to bring the college back into college basketball.
People do forget that. I literally forgot that. That.
This happened. And if you read the points that were made by the Commission on College Basketball, led by our favorite Condoleezza Rice, it basically said that they want to make sure that no professional opportunities happen. They want to make sure that the one and done rule is done with, is thrown out of the game. They want to make sure that players cannot transfer. And in fact, when they go to a school, they need to sign a 3-year waiver that they will be a part of the program for 3 years. These are the things that the Commission on College Basketball, after the scandal, decided to do. Since then, we have had a major NIL decision that came down. We have professionalization that is legal now in college basketball, so the commission was a little bit off on that one. Everything has changed, and the fact that we get these in 2019, after the commission made all these suggestions that no one ever listened to or ever did, the NCAA, which is basically like the U.S. government at this point, they say, how we get things handled here and how we deflect? We create a separate committee. And that separate committee is going to take all the blame. And they're also going to have complete autonomy. So we can always say, that's not on us. That's on this separate committee that we created. They created that in 2019. They took all of these decisions. They have slowly been leaking them out. Every single time, people are like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. The NCAA gets to go, oh well. And now they're they're dissolving the committee because they're like, this committee's not doing such a great job. But they literally created the committee to dissolve the committee, to give all of these decisions so that they could completely put all this under the rug and they can move on. I've never seen something so masterfully handled at a top level while pointing fingers at other people, when really the person pointing the finger is the person doing the thing that everyone kind of knows is happening, defrauding all of these kids at some level. And it is a masterclass. I mean, I don't think we'll ever see anything like it again. And the NCAA now can say, yeah, those IARP decisions were really dumb, weren't they? And it's like, you did that. You created this. What do you mean?
Yeah, how does that make sense that you're dissolving the IARP because you've decided that this organization serves no purpose and is stupid, but at the same time we're allowing the IARP to hammer Book Richardson with a 10-year show called? Now listen, I don't think I think the moment the actual federal government got involved and this man spent 90 days in prison for a felony, at that point his career is kind of over.
Yeah,
for all intents and purposes. So I don't think a 10-year show cause practically makes that much of a difference. But still, to give this committee, whatever the hell it's called, whatever the term would be, this is it, what's the term I'm looking for? This ruling, what is the IARP? What the hell is it? What the hell is it?
Yeah, it's a
committee.
It's a committee underneath the NCAA, but it's separate.
How many committees do we have?
Right. They have full autonomy, and also there's no appeals. So like even if Book Richardson gets this ruling right from the IARP and says this is BS, I actually do want to coach in 5 years once I get my ducks in a row, he can't even appeal it. It's final. That's the other part. I mean,
it's final, but it's also this committee is so stupid that we're dissolving it, but also it's fine. Like how what oh my God.
Right.
Yeah. I like I said, like this doesn't really change Book Richardson's life that much in practical terms. Like the guy got a raw deal. Like there's no question about that.
The rawest of deals. I mean, he was the ultimate fall guy, right? I mean,
yeah, I do feel bad for him, but you know, like this doesn't ultimately change anything because I don't think I think his college basketball coaching career was over as is. All it does is just reintroduce his name into the news and get us to talk about it again and how much of a fall guy he was. But tip of the cap to Sean Miller, dude. Just a masterful job of not only does he not get punished, but he gets to like make that make sense for me too. How can this man? I don't even listen, and I want to say this because I'm sure there's some Xavier fans that are going to take this the wrong way and think I'm coming after them and their beloved coach and you know their program. I don't give it. I don't give it if Xavier gets punished and Sean Miller gets, you know, I don't care one way or the another. What I want to do as I sit in this chair with the microphone in front of me, Tate, is just call out the hypocrisy and how hilarious it is that you can both come to the conclusion that this man fostered a culture of compliance and told his assistants to follow monitored his assistants, did everything as perfectly as we could ever ask any head coach to do. But also at the same time, we're going to hit 2 of his assistants with show cause penalties, one of which is 10 years, which is the biggest show cause penalty we give out. So which one is it? Like, if you're going to say that about Sean Miller, then you would assume that the assistants did nothing really that bad, and we're just going to let them off the hook too. But if you're like if you're saying Book Richardson did something that is so heinous and so ridiculous and so beyond the pale that we're going to hit him with the 10-year show cause, which for those of you that listen to the show and don't have no idea what that actually means, it's basically saying he's unhireable for 10 years.
Right. He's blacklisted for 10 years.
He's blacklisted for 10 years. If what he's done is so heinous, then surely you cannot also say that Sean Miller fostered this culture of compliance. It's got to be what, you know.
They're in the same building, and the way that the ruling comes down, it feels like they're at a huge company like Amazon, and they worked in different branches, and they never cross paths. It's like they're in the office every single day. They're recruiting the same kids. They're having those conversations, and it's either one or the other, but it can't be both. And the fact that it's so obviously blatant that one person is going to take the blame, so that you at least
crazy.
have some sort of, so you can say that you had some sort of like arm, you know, that you did this and you made this decision, right? That's ridiculous.
And again, Xavier fans, don't take this the wrong way. I'm not arguing Sean Miller should go down. I'm arguing that Book Richardson should not.
Right.
I think nobody should.
I think nobody should. That's
all stupid.
That's why I'm actually fine. Like a lot of people, you know, they're like, "Are you mad that the IARP is letting these guys get off? Is that why you're mad?" And it's like, I'm actually happy that they're not giving these guys death penalties and they're not taking away like scholarships from kids that are currently in school. I'm glad that Arizona can put this cloud behind them because Tommy Lloyd had nothing to do with it in the first place. And shout out to the diving team; they can put it behind them too. I don't know how they got implicated, but the diving team also, the swim team for Arizona was also involved. So I'm glad they can put it behind them, but it just screams hypocrisy, and it screams, and it's so obvious what they did, right? It's so obvious that everybody's hands they're all in the cookie jar. And then, I mean, even when the Commission on College Basketball met, they said this goes all the way to the top. We joke about, you know, that phrase. We always say it goes all the way to the top, and we laugh about it. But Condoleezza Rice said in a true, serious context, it goes all the way to the top to the university presidents. Of course it does. Yeah. Of course it does. And guess what? They were not going to take the fall for it. They're the ones that are actually making up the committees to make decisions on this, because the NCAA is really us. It's the schools, it's the presidents, it's the people within the schools, the academics that get together and make a lot of these decisions. So at the end of the day, it's a whole lot of finger pointing trying to find out who the boogeyman is, and the boogeyman is us. The boogeyman is the college basketball ecosystem. And the fact that you're penalizing someone from playing in the pool that everyone else plays in and wades in, and some people do it so egregiously that they buy houses for top 5 recruits and no one even looks into it. And they don't have any issues, and no one's going to jail. And in fact, they get more money from the top brand. It doesn't compute. It doesn't make any sense. And that's why Rick Pitino, when he got fired, he's like, I don't even swim in the deep end. I'm not even in the deep end of the pool. And these guys are freaking doing cannonballs and can openers in your face, and you're not doing anything about it. What are you talking about? Why do I have the FBI calling me and tapping my phone when I got this going on in the background? And that is why it's so ridiculous. That's why no one really should get any big punishment. And that's why the fact that some of these guys went to prison, federal prison, had their lives absolutely uprooted and ruined. And a lot of them were former college basketball players who were a part of the system and know how it works. I mean, it's just ridiculous, and it's obviously picking and choosing who gets to do it and who doesn't. And that goes back to the Jerry Tarkanian quote we always laugh about. Cleveland State versus Kentucky. That is college basketball. We get that. But once you bring in the FBI and everything, the stakes are a lot higher. And when people's lives are getting ruined, it's not one-to-one. It's very unfair. I mean, life is unfair, obviously, at a certain level, but the fraud really in all of this is the NCAA, as it always is, but they've done a really good job of, now it's the IARP. It's like, well, no, that's the NCAA, but if we can put it on another acronym and we can come up with another boogeyman, as long as it's not us, we can keep this machine going. And we all see it. We can see through it. It is what it is. But Book Richardson, I mean, the guy should, if anything, he should have an HBO documentary like Christian Dawkins, where he's like, here's actually what went down.
You're right.
You know what I mean? Here are the real tapes.
The IRP is like when Comcast changed their name to Spectrum, and like,
it's like, we remember.
I don't care what you call your company, you suck. We hate you.
we know what you're doing.
Yeah, we all see what's happening. Or no, it was Time Warner, right? Time Warner changed their name to Spectrum. Right. I guess it might defeat the point I'm making, but not really. They all suck.
They all suck. Same thing.
No, but shout out to Sean Miller did play it masterfully with I take full responsibility, but it's not my fault. I love when that works, dude, and it worked. So
plausible deniability.
Got to keep up all the Final Four banners he won in Tucson, so that's exciting too. They didn't have to take any of those down.
Also, the big punishment that a lot of people are pointing out, they keep pointing out, is that they lost the 2 Pac-12 tournaments in regular seasons, right, because of the vacated wins, because of Raleigh Hawkins being deemed an ineligible player. I think it's like 80 games that they lose or something like that. But at the end of the day, we watched all those games and remember. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing with Louisville and the band. It's like, if I watch the games happen and I watch them win the Pac-12 tournament, you can tell me that it doesn't count, but I watched it, so
and also, like,
counts in my mind.
I got news for Arizona fans. You were not winning. You were not winning a national title with Sean Miller on your bench ever at any point. So, who cares? Like the only time you care about like programs getting punished, is if you look up and the program has been sunk, like kind of like Louisville.
Right. Louisville is the one that should be suing the NCAA. I mean, someone should. But
Arizona, I'm going to say it, Arizona, you're in a fine spot. So, it all worked out. So for all intents and purposes, you did not get punished at all. You came out of this better than
ever,
honestly.
You're
in a better position now than you ever were with Sean, I think. But whatever. All right, moving on.
Yep.
Next list on the talking about Condoleezza Rice and the involvement of politicians in college basketball. At number 4 on the fraud power rankings, Tate, is massholes. Just all of them. Every masshole that exists. Because Tate, I have been clamoring for one specific masshole to quit his job and move to Indiana, where it is his destiny to work in college sports in the state of Indiana. I've been clamoring this on the show for years now. It finally happened that a prominent masshole has done exactly that. Unfortunately, it is not Brad Stevens.
The wrong one. Yeah.
It is the new NCAA president, who is the governor of Massachusetts. What's his name? Say his name for the people. I didn't even write it down. I just wrote down governor of Massachusetts. What the
I don't remember his name. I do not remember his name. I do not know this man.
I just saw the goddamn governor of Massachusetts.
That's as far as I went too. In my mind, his first name is Governor. His last name is Massachusetts.
Charlie Baker.
All right, Charlie Baker.
Charlie Baker is the new NCAA president, and I first of all, I didn't even know the man's name, so I'm not going to pretend like I know a lot about this guy. I have to see if his politics align with mine to let you know whether I like the move. If they do, then great move, love it.
Right.
If they don't, then screw this guy. But if this isn't the final just swan song, I guess, of the NCAA, the final bit of proof that you need that this organization is toast.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing? You're hiring a freaking governor of if you would have asked me all of the different industries that the next NCAA president may have come from, I guess I'm too stupid to have seen that like governor was one of them. But I don't know. I would have thought, for me, this is what I would have thought they would have done. I would have thought they would have hired someone that like works in college sports. I would have thought like maybe an athletic director somewhere. Yeah. I would have thought like maybe I know Billis's name gets tossed around. I don't think he was ever actually going to take it. I don't think that was ever actually serious, but maybe someone of his ilk, like someone who
that's like an actual voice in the sport. Yeah.
Yes. A former coach that has cachet and basketball, football, whatever it is.
Even like a Nike executive or like someone that worked at a sportswear company or something, like some sort of in the world, right? That makes some sort of sense.
Yes. I cannot think of a more wet, juicy fart of a hire for the next NCAA president than a guy who is the governor of Massachusetts. whatever the lowest level of enthusiasm you could possibly have. I'm not saying he's worse than Mark Emmert. I'm saying I simply do not care. I'm saying there was a path that they could have hired. The next NCAA commissioner could have been a guy or next NCAA president, I'm sorry, commissioner, it's all the same. The next NCAA president could have been a guy that, I don't know, had my attention, I'm trying to maybe Oliver Luck. Oliver Luck is an example.
That's
Oliver
the name that came to my head where I was like, yeah, Oliver Luck inspires some sort of hope. Even Condoleezza Rice would have been.
Condoleezza Rice, honestly, yeah. I'm more like, okay, I don't think this saves the NCAA, but you have my attention, and we'll see where this goes. Whatever. Charlie Baker, apologies to the Baker family. It does not do it for me. It does not do it. Does the exact opposite. It's like I had zero enthusiasm, and somehow I've got negative enthusiasm now about the future of the NCAA.
The only thing that you can kind of hope for is that maybe in this masshole community, they're obviously very close knit and they talk to each other about everything. There's a chance that Charlie's going to Indianapolis to scope it out for Brad. Maybe Brad's sending him on a mission.
He's doing a real estate.
It's a very John the Baptist Jesus situation where he's like, I send you, you do it first, you spread the word, then I come in and I get all the accolades. I think that might be what he's up to. I don't know though. I don't want to speculate.
But also, yeah, and then the other part is of all the states too, Massachusetts. Massachusetts we probably got some UMass listeners, some Boston College listeners. Maybe not. I don't know. But Massachusetts is a pro sports state, Tate.
Yeah.
This is not a college. This is not a college sports state. Mm-hmm. How many national titles, football national titles has Massachusetts produced? How many basketball national titles? You know what I mean? We got to get governor of North Carolina. You have my attention. Governor of I don't know, but Massachusetts, dude. Massachusetts, it's just like the influence that this one little state has on all of sports is disgusting. And as two of the only guys in sports media that have no ties to Boston and the New England area, I feel like it's our duty to point this out.
To fight it. Right.
The Boston media machine has grown way too big. And now we have a guy who's like representing the interest of like Harvard and Boston University and freaking like in these schools that serve no purpose in the greater scheme. Apologies to UMass fans, apologies to Boston College fans, but you know what it is. Mm-hmm. Now this is the guy that's running the NCAA. I don't like it, Tate. I don't like it a bit.
Springfield, Massachusetts. Shout out to James Naismith, but that was a YMCA, right? That wasn't college. So I mean, they're not college basketball at their core. They don't quite get it, but at the same time, I mean, I think this is giving me Fall Guy vibes. I think the fall is already on. It's already on for the NCAA.
Okay.
And if there's anything that a politician knows how to do, I think it's kind of like in the DNA of a politician, is to go down with the ship, right? And you go down smiling. Like, you're going to lose eventually. It's like a head coach. Eventually, you're going to get fired. You know that day is going to come. You're just waiting for it to be that day for you. And as a politician, you know you're going to lose sometimes. And at this point, the only thing that the NCAA can do is go down and fight cases, that get to the Supreme Court about who has rights to do things. So that's what they're going to spend their time doing at this point. So good luck, Charlie. I will not be watching. I will not be keeping up.
I officially have I'm rescinding all of my donations that I make to the NCAA. I donate money regularly to the NCAA. I'm an NCAA booster, Tate. I don't know if you knew that. Nice. I support what they got going on. I've stopped sending checks. This is the kind of hire that gets me to.
I mean,
imagine there's NCAA boosters out there, people that just
Rob Lowe with the NCAA.
Yeah. Who could have been a worse hire? I'm trying to Larry Scott comes to mind, I guess. Like, if they announced that Larry Scott was the new commissioner,
it's like realistic worst hires, honestly. And Larry Scott never could have been hired. I mean, that's the thing. That there were so many inspiring, at least where you're like, okay, that person somewhat gets what we should be doing here.
Honestly, I'm not saying this. I'm not even joking. Like, if Mr. K was hired as the new NCAA commissioner, right, I would have like a little bit of. Yeah, again, like, let's see where this goes. You have my attention.
Yeah,
I mean, hiring a freaking governor of Massachusetts, like,
right. I mean, Mr. K literally just won the Heisman Trophy too. Like, he's coming off winning the Heisman Trophy. Like, it's never been a hotter time to buy in on Mr. K stock, and you don't give him that job. I mean, come on.
I thought about. I'm sorry, the fraud. I talked to the fraud power rankings committee, and they thought about included the Heisman Trust on
I could not. The picture of Mr. K with the Heisman Trophy literally made me die. I was like, how many trophies can this man get his hands on? What's next? Coach K with the Ray Guy Award.
Nobel Peace Prize winner Mike Krzyzewski.
It's coming.
All right. Next up on the fraud power rankings this week, at number 3 is a man who I swore I wasn't going to turn into content anymore, but he can't help himself. He's addicted to the game and he can't stay out of content. Evan the Villain Turner, who just the other day, Tate, I'm sure you saw this.
I did, and I was very worried.
He got aggregated.
Yeah, he
did. He got aggregated basically. Someone puts out into the ether. So the NBA announces these new trophies that are stupid and dumb and disgusting, and they look very cheap and they look like Happy Meal toys, but it's the NBA, so we have to say they're cool. Great idea, NBA. Adam Silver, this man is
he doesn't miss.
He does not miss. He's done it again. But they have all these new trophies, and they're all named after legends of the game. And Michael Jordan is the new MVP. It's the Michael Jordan MVP trophy, and the Jerry West. What's the Jerry West trophy? The John Havlicek 6-man trophy and what have you. So someone puts out into the ether. I wonder what LeBron's trophy will be in 2035. Is the tweet that someone says. It's because it's a good question, Tate. If we start assigning names to every single trophy, we're gonna have to come up with a trophy for LeBron, because it does seem a little weird that like John Havlicek, great player, all-time legend Buckeye, love the guy to death, but LeBron James is far more important to the story of the NBA than John Havlicek. So if you're gonna name a trophy after John Havlicek, surely you have to name one after LeBron, right? So what are we gonna name it after in 2035? Evan Turner says, if we ever have a bubble championship again, then that specific trophy should be named after him, which is funny.
Which is a good answer, honestly.
It's a good answer.
I like the answer, Evan.
And knowing Evan is a big time stir, but knowing Evan, this was not even a shit stirring situation. This was Evan just like being funny in his mind, hitting send tweet, thinking like 4 people were going to see it, and he moves on with his life. Instead, he got aggregated, Tate. The Bleacher Reports of the world, the House of Highlights of the world. I don't know if it's actually it, but you know what I'm talking about. These outlets that make their money off of
content
tweets like this have run with it. the LeBron fans are going nuts in Evan's mentions. It is Evan Turner is being called a bum left and right. I don't care about any of this. The reason that Evan Turner is a fraud, and the reason I have to call this man out, is because the Ohio State Buckeyes are currently in a recruiting battle of a generation, Tate, for a man by the name of Bronny James. And this is something near and dear to my heart. We've been talking about it on the show for a long time. We must get Bronny to Columbus. It must happen. Why must it happen? I don't really remember. I think at this point I'm so deep into it that I don't even remember why I care so much about this. I just do. We just have to get Bronny to Columbus. And for Evan Turner, a man who has his jersey retired in the rafters up there next to John Havlicek and Jerry Lucas. I think we've only Jim Jackson and Gary Bradds. I think that's it. Those are the only jerseys we have retired. All the great players that have come through there's only a handful in Ohio State history that have their number in the rafters. One of them is Evan Turner, and he's calling out Bronny's father on the internet. It's fraudulent, and I think ultimately if Bronny does not commit to Ohio State, we have one man to blame as Buckeye Nation, and that man is Evan Turner. And I'm calling for it, Tate. I think we pull his jersey out of the rafters. I think we have to.
If you don't get Bronny.
If we don't get Bronny, I think we really have to. I think we have to say, is Evan Turner actually an asset to this program, or is he working against us? Like, is he actively working against the program? These are questions that have to be asked. And again, it really does pain me to be the one to ask him because I don't want to be that person. I don't.
No, especially when you and Evan, like you mentioned, you guys are on the best terms you've been on. You know what I mean? And you don't like to use him for content, but you have to in this moment.
I hate it. If you could, like, honestly, if you could get inside my brain, it's just going, oh, God, I hate this.
I watched Bronny play against Carmelo's son on ESPN2. Jay Billis is on the call, and I'm watching Bronny, and I'm seeing it. You know what I mean? He catches a nice little lob on an alley oop, plays good defense. Right? I'm just seeing a team player, and I like the way that Bronny plays. I don't like that he talks to the official every 5 minutes, but what are you gonna do? That's your dad. That's your role model. It is what it is. I mean, that just comes with it. But everything else about Bronny, I love. And as I was watching that game, I was thinking to myself, how cool would it be if he just committed to Ohio State, right? They get him on camera afterwards, and he says, I've only taken one visit. Of course I'm going to Ohio State. And in my mind, he was planning on doing that with all eyeballs on him, with America watching, with Kim Kardashian in the building, with everyone there. And people forget Chris Holtmann, back-to-back top 10 recruiting classes, so it's nothing new. This is what Chris Holtmann does. He knows how to recruit guys. He knows Bronny James is a priority. But I think Evan's tweet happened right before this game tipped off, and I think he had to push it back. I think he said no.
He saw it.
He saw the tweet. No, LeBron saw the tweet, and he was like,
cut it.
He was from the silent cut it. Clutch was saying cut it. So I'm concerned. And I think still only one visit to Ohio State.
It's true.
He's got the offer. He's gone nowhere else. There's no signs that say he likes anywhere else. During the game, they mentioned Ohio State as an option. So I still think it could happen. But Evan, we got
to tighten up, dude. We got to.
Evan should tweet like Bronny is like going to be a trend. Like he's going to take our program to the next level. If we get Bronny James, Ohio State will never be the same as soon as they sign Bronny James, and then I think everyone's okay. Tweet it.
Bronny, if you're watching, if you're listening, I disavow Evan Turner. Right. I speak on behalf of Buckeyes.
Disassociate.
I speak on behalf of people forget Evan Turner did not graduate from Ohio State, so he's technically not a Buckeye. If you kind of think, and that's not even my opinion. I'm just stating facts. Like I don't. Again, I hate to be the one to point this out. I do not want to do that, but he kind of did drop out, Tate. So in a lot of ways, maybe my voice carries a little more weight than Evan's.
Right.
And I just want to say, Bronny, if you're listening, we want you. We want you badly. Evan does not speak for us. The disrespect shown to your father, I would certainly never say a bad word about LeBron James on this program. It would not happen. So, yeah, shame on you, Evan. That's all.
I do think I will. In all seriousness, I do think that the Larry O'Brien Trophy will be changed to the LeBron Trophy, and I think that will be the moment when people lose their minds because they're going to say
it should be the opposite. It should be the Michael Jordan Trophy, and LeBron should have the MVP trophy.
Right. That's. But
you're right. People.
That's how I feel. I feel like that's exactly what it should be, but they can't do that now. And as soon as LeBron is the championship trophy. And people are going to be tweeting out his finals record. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be – I almost feel bad for him because I feel like they're setting him up for this moment where he is the future. Because LB, Larry O'Brien, LB LeBron. Like, it rolls off the tongue. You know, it's easy to do. But I think people are going to be up in arms about it, especially like the sunglass wearing crowd on Twitter. Like, they're gonna lose their mind when that happens.
The people that want to name the Bob Cousy.
Bob Cousy should be the MVP.
Bob Cousy should be all the trophies. Damn it. At number 2 on the fraud power rankings this week, Under Armour. Under Armour for this reason, Tate. You certainly remember this. I don't know how many friends of the program remember this, but Under Armour and the University of California, Los Angeles introduced us to a little phrase in the legal world known as force majeure.
Yes.
This is a phrase that we learned via the Under Armour UCLA lawsuit that there's a force majeure at play. UCLA was trying to get out of the Under Armour deal. They successfully did. They are now a Jordan Brand school. And they win. The game is over. We win. Force majeure. Suck it. Mm-hmm. That's and you and I were like, my God, this force majeure thing is incredible. I hope to use it someday. And then our employer, once upon a time, was like,
we're like, wait a second. I've heard of this phrase before.
I've said too much. Anyway, UCLA. By the way, that was not Fox. We love you, Fox. Fox is great. Mm-hmm. UCLA plays Maryland. Tate. Maryland obviously is to Under Armour what Oregon is to Nike. Maryland is the Under Armour baby. Maryland will
flagship. Yeah.
As long as Under Armour exists, Maryland will be an Under Armour school. So UCLA goes to Maryland. I don't want to say this was the motivation behind the ass beating. They win by 27. Could have been a lot worse. Was a lot worse for most of the game. Was 38 at one point, I think. Was that the highest it got to?
I think so.
It could have been. If they really wanted to, they could have won by 50. I watched the entire game and I was like, the reason I kept watching because like I think they might win by 50. Yeah. And I think the motivation behind this, I think Mick Cronin told the boys, this is the final twist of the knife to Under Armour. They thought the force majeure was it. There's more to it. Let's twist the knife tonight. I mean, I don't know how Under Armour bounces back from this. I don't know. Your biggest foe in the courtroom was UCLA, and UCLA comes to your home turf wearing a Jordan brand on all of their jerseys and shoes and everything else, and hands you your ass. I don't know how you recover. I don't know how you as a company recover from this.
Yeah, and Under Armour, people forget in the year of 2015, 2016, they had, 2015 specifically, they had Steph Curry, who was going for 73 wins. They had Cam Newton, who was 15-1. They had Tom Brady. They had Bryce Harper. They had Lonzo Ball at UCLA. They had everything going for Under Armour. Under Armour looked like they were going to be on top of the world, and then 2016 came, and everything sort of came crashing
down.
I
had it wrong, by the way. Did I just say that UCLA force majeured Under Armour? Because I messed that up. It was Under Armour that Under Armour force majeured UCLA. Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize for getting that. Under Armour, like because what you just said, Under Armour was strapped for cash. They had signed this absurdly large. It was the biggest shoe contract in
$300 million, history. I believe, right? Yeah.
And they tried to back out of it, and they force majeured UCLA. And UCLA was like force majeure, act of God. UCLA was like Jordan Spieth sucking is not an act of God. I'm sorry to say. Cam Newton making a business decision on the fumble in the Super Bowl, that's not an act of God.
Yeah.
No.
LeBron coming back from 3-1 is not.
LeBron, that might have been actually bad example. Pay us our money. Yeah, that's what happened. I'm sorry to get it wrong there. But they said pay us our money. It goes to court. UCLA gets whatever the settlement was, like I think 70 million or something like that. And then that was it. And UCLA. This was the payback for that. You tried to force majeure us. False. We are going to hand you a 27-point loss on your home court. Suck on that.
Yeah, and I loved it. And it also showed that Mick Cronin's a UCLA guy. He's a lifer. He does it for the athletic department. It was larger than him, bigger for the team. And honestly, if you had told Under Armour executives in 2015 where they'd be 7 years later, they would not believe it because I don't think things are trending in the right direction, but you still have, Tom Brady, you still have Steph Curry, so there you go.
What a day for UCLA though to have the Board of Regents decision that UCLA can join the Big Ten, and then you beat the hell out of Maryland. You have that. I mean, I'm obviously joking about the Under Armour thing, but at the same time, there is somebody that's in the UCLA athletic department or
the legal department. The legal department watched that game and they were fist bumping. Yeah.
They were loving it. They were absolutely loving it. So for that game to take place on the same day as the Board of Regents deal, yeah, what a day for UCLA. Welcome to the Big Ten.
And you got UCLA. Kentucky on Saturday, so you got even more good things potentially. Who knows?
Finally, number one on the fraud power rankings, our good friend Mike Rutherford had to do it.
Whoa. A
man who came on this program, Tate, not too long ago to talk. We had him on to talk about the demise of Louisville basketball. And we part of the reason we were having him on is we were looking at the schedule saying, when's the next win going to come, Mike? And I said to Mike, you got Western Kentucky coming up. What about that one? Mike said, no, can't happen. Won't happen. In fact, Western Kentucky beat us last year. They're better. We're worse. There's no world in which this Louisville team can beat Western Kentucky. In fact, if I was you, I wouldn't even watch the game. I would put all of my eyes on December 17th. That is the game to watch. We have no hope in any game until Florida A&M. It simply cannot happen. I do not believe in this team. This team is terrible and historically the worst team in the history of college basketball. I believe that's a direct quote from Mike Rutherford.
Right.
Wrong, Mike. You're wrong. You're wrong. When are you going to eat crow, Mike? When are you going to come back on the show and say you had it wrong? Because Louisville.
Apologize to the friends of the program.
Apologize. Okay. Because you know what? All eyes were not on December 14th. What was
no
it?
Eyes.
No eyes. No eyes. We were circled December 17th, Mike. If you were a weatherman, you said the storm was coming on this day and it came 3 days earlier and we weren't prepared for it, dude. We didn't have our windows boarded up. Mm-hmm. So now we're going to sue you for damages because you did not you read it wrong, Mike. You read it wrong, and that's fraudulent behavior, and it needs to be called out. So there you go, Mike Rutherford, number one on the fraud power.
I like that because I was so shocked by the score that when I looked at my score app, I thought it was the women's basketball game because I saw the halftime score, and I'm like, oh, congrats to the Louisville women, nice lead over Western Kentucky. When did the men play them? And then I had to do a double take. What? And there it was. The Louisville Cardinals. They made it happen. They did it under the radar though, and I just wish Mike could get it right for us because we need our friends of the program watching when they need to watch, not when they don't want to watch. Yeah.
So now what do I do on the 17th? Because I was planning on being in Madison Square Garden with you as Carolina and Ohio State are playing, and I was planning on watching the Louisville game on my phone or on my laptop, whatever it is, whatever it needed to be done. Because I promised Mike, all eyes on December 17th. That's the game we're locked in on. Now I don't know what to do. Now I don't know, Tate. Now I feel like I've been lied to. I feel like none of this matters. Does December 17th even matter? If Louisville wins, do we care? I don't know anymore. I don't know. I don't know. And I think that's what's upset me the most is that I'm just left more confused than ever about what I'm supposed to care about.
Yeah, I will say if I'm Cal, I'm a little worried though. If I see Louisville trending up heading into that game, I don't like it.
Also, Mike at halftime, when Louisville's up by 11, he tweets this: Cards lead by 11 at the break after JJ Traynor 3 at the buzzer. Since 2004, Louisville's 131-0 when leading by more than 10 points at halftime.
Wow. Well, that was the ultimate.
Is that not the most?
Yeah, that was like I want to win on December 17th. That was
exactly.
The ultimate all eyes towards December 17th.
I saw straight through that, which is Mike was cheering against his own team winning. Right. He's trying to curse his own team so that they would lose, so that all eyes would in fact be on December 17th. So his little campaign that he had built where December 17th matters would come to fruition.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
It's a classic conundrum. Right logic, wrong pick. You know what I mean? We hate to see it, but it happens. It happens out here all the time.
So there you have it. There's the fraud power rankings this week. Do we have shout outs before we get out of here?
I have a quick shout out. I want to shout out the Biscuit Boys. And if you don't know who the Biscuit Boys are, they are the walk-ons for North Carolina. Titus, I believe that a lot of people would say, I would say this, you're the most famous walk-on that the world has seen. So
wow, thank you, Tate. I think Rudy would have a word.
No, Rudy was a scholarship. He got a scholarship eventually, I think. No, but
Rudy was recruited to.
Rudy was actually a lie.
It was technically
a 3-star.
Once the players did the jersey thing, that technically counts as a recruitment because the players were recruiting him back to the team.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, actually, it was illegal. If the IARP was around, But the walk-ons came in North Carolina. They scored 100 points for the first time this season, in a season where I was losing.
The walk-ons scored 100 points?
Yeah, exactly.
Combined?
No, they scored 5 points combined. They came in against the Citadel with about 2 minutes to go. Score 5 points, hit a 3 to get the biscuits. You get 2 free sausage biscuits at Bojangles when they score 100 points. But it got me a little excited, Titus, about my Tar Heels again. It was just that little feeling of hope. And
okay, you want to do it now? You want to do the preview now? We want to just do it now. Let's do it now. Carolina, Ohio State on Saturday. We will be in the building.
Right.
The world's most famous arena. What are our thoughts? What are you thinking?
First,
You're feeling better? You're feeling better, huh?
Well, no, I mean, first my thoughts are tip of the cap to the scheduling gods, because they obviously knew this is the Titus and Tate Bowl, and they said, where should we host such an illustrious event? Of course, at the Mecca. We have to have this in Madison Square Garden. This is where this
at Jim Cunningham's backyard.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. This is how this works. So thank you to the powers that be that made that happen. Going into this game about a week ago, I did not even want to go anymore, Mark Titus. That's how far away from this trip I wanted to be. I did not want to be there. I did not want to get on a plane. I did not want to go to New York. But after watching this game against the Citadel and watching this game against Georgia Tech, started sharing the ball. You know, at one point we had 18 assists on 23 baskets. And this is a team that literally could not get more than 5 assists as a team to start the year. So I got a little bit of hope. I still think your Ohio State Buckeyes are going to be a tough matchup. I think they're a tougher team than North Carolina, which probably will prevail at the end. But at least I'm hoping it won't be an ugly game. That's all I want. I want a good game, Titus. That's all I
think. I think it could be a good game, man, because I think both of our teams are far more interested in putting the ball in the basket than keeping the other team from putting the ball in the basket.
Right.
You catch what I'm saying?
Yeah, because we're entertaining basketball team. That's what
exactly.
We understand the fans matter. Yeah, we're for the fans.
So yeah, I've run through all the different timelines of what could possibly happen, and my mind just keeps going back to this is the Caleb Love, I'm him game. I think Caleb, if you're listening, please go easy on my boys, because I know I know it's his time, dude, and I know Caleb Love is just going to go off, and I think honestly, I think if I paid for a ticket to this game and Caleb Love does not shoot 25 times and get his, I feel like I was ripped off. So I'm anticipating a game where Caleb Love just goes bananas, has the game of his life, maybe opts out after the game. I think he says to himself, I've done enough. I did it in Madison Square Garden. I own Madison Square Garden now. It's mine. And, the Buckeyes are just left, with their head spinning, saying, how did that just happen? And Caleb Love says, I'm him. That's how that happened.
I think there's a chance that Caleb Love has that mindset. There's no doubt.
Also, everything I just said also applies to RJ Davis. I also think he's going to have the exact same game. So I think, RJ, if you're listening, you should also shoot 25 times. And Armando Bacot, if you're listening, maybe it's a great time to demonstrate your jump shot, put up some threes because there'll be a lot of NBA scouts there.
Demonstrate for the scouts. Yeah. I think for the scouts. 27 scouts of 2017s will be there. Yeah.
Demonstrate your jab step, your gather step back, 3-point series that you've been developing in the offseason. I think this is a great time to show that off. No, man, I think it's gonna be a fun game. I think I kind of have no expectations because I do like this team. I would be hurt if Ohio State lost this game. Not only because you get to come on the pod and smile in my face and I'm gonna be upset about it, but at the same time, I kind of have a realistic view on what the season looks like. And I came into the season saying if we just make the tournament, I'm gonna be happy. This is a bit of a rebuilding year. I fell in love with this team in Maui. Our one big win, as it turns out, was Texas Tech, who is absolutely imploding at a level that I didn't even see coming. Right. And I saw a lot of the things coming. I did not see it to this.
There's too many things coming for Texas Tech. That's for sure.
It's a fact. So anyway, even though the Maui, looking back, it's what did Ohio State really show us in Maui? I'm not quite sure, but I don't know. I still fell in love with the group of guys, and I think there's a lot of talent there, and I like this team, so I do not want to lose this game, but the stakes aren't that high. I'm gonna put it that way. I'm going to put it that way. I don't think the stakes are like super high in this one.
What's really sad is that North Carolina is not even ranked. I mean, that is what. I mean, shout out to the Buckeyes for being ranked. I mean, you guys got your job. You handled your end of the bargain.
We did it. We did what we were. Yeah.
You guys did what you were supposed to do. The Tar Heels did not. So I hope this is as close as a must-win game for Carolina as far as changing the narrative on this team. And if they don't win this game, I don't think that they can change the narrative. It'll be the same thing as last year. They won't be able to change the narrative until ACC tournament, until they play Duke. That'll be the next time that people tune in. Even though they play Michigan in the Jumpman Invitational,
but
Ohio State, Michigan, like they're just not as much.
I think they got Virginia. You got Virginia early in the conference slate too, so I think that might be. But yeah, yeah. You're right. This is kind of
beating Virginia. Like let's say Houston beats Virginia on Saturday. Then people are a little, Virginia drops down to 6-7. Then even if Carolina were to beat them, the bubble boys, the bubble boys, they're not giving. They're saying three teams will make the tournament out of the ACC right now. So if you're Carolina, if you're Hubert Davis, I'm saying you got to win this game to get respect. Unless you don't want respect, and if you don't want respect, that's on you.
Yeah, I think Ohio State is playing better basketball at the moment. But Carolina wants it more, and that's gonna.
We hope
you need it. You need it. You don't want it more. You need it.
You need it. You need it.
You need it in a way that Ohio State doesn't need. Not that we're. I don't know. We just don't. We don't need to get we're fine. If Ohio State loses this game, I'm not worried about the season at all. If Carolina loses, you're right. There is some sort of when are we going to hit that switch? When is it going to happen? We're waiting to see it happen. This is a great opportunity for Carolina to do it. So yeah, I think all the pressure's on you guys.
And let's be honest. What is the switch? The switch is pretty simple. The switch is pass the ball. I mean, that is a very simple switch, and it's a RJ Davis homecoming game in New York. I hope RJ will have a good game, but we saw with TJ Shannon, Terrence Shannon, when he was in Madison Square Garden, he got a little bit spooked after saying before the game, "This is where he thrives. This is his building." I am concerned that there could be some of that with Caleb. But at the end of the day, you live and die with Caleb.
I will say,
I do love that man.
I will say, I'm fired up for the Zed Key Baycott matchup because I don't.
I mean, Baycott is going to have. I mean, the difference in Carolina, as far as the past two games, is that Armando Baycott is active and Armando Baycott is actually posting up and playing. I mean, he was not doing that at the start of the year.
If we get a pouty Baycott, Zed is going to eat him alive.
Right.
Because Zed's not going to stop. Zed's not the most talented guy in the world, but Zed Key, he's got a motor, man. That guy's got a motor, and he's not going to stop. And if he senses a pouty Armando Baycott, which happens. It happens, Tate.
Of course.
It happens from time to time.
Of course. No, I mean, Hubert Davis said that he needed Armando to be the janitor, right? He needed him to be the one that does the dirty work. And if there's anyone that I know that's going to do the dirty work, it's Zed Key. And Zed Key is going to make him earn every single rebound, earn every single loose ball. And if you're not willing to do that, then they're going to lose. Because Ohio State, I mean, I told you this when you were I mean, I like Ohio State's team. I like the players. They're all good kids. I love Coach Holtman. So, I'll never be upset if they lose this game. It'll just show me a little bit more about the DNA of this team because Ohio State's not going to give it to them. And they're not supremely – they're not going to overmatch Ohio State with talent either. And that's another thing that they realized early this season where you're not the 09 Carolina team. Right, you're more akin to the 17 team than you are the 09 team, and I think that they came in thinking, "Oh, we just show up and we win." That's not the case. You're not that good.
I do expect to win. I will say I do. As an Ohio State fan, I do expect Ohio State to win. But if I was gambling,
I have no idea what the line is.
I'm staying very far away from putting money on Ohio State.
I have no idea what the line is. I don't even want to look at it. I just want to watch a good basketball game without guys just jacking up shots. If it turns into our guards throwing up shots and Justice Suing throwing up shots from three and they're just clanking.
Bryce Sensabaugh is he might have he's the candidate on Ohio State of doing the thing I was saying with Caleb Love of I'm just gonna show out.
Yeah, I'm him.
Regard NBA scouts and not even try to win the game, just try to score my 30 points in Madison Square Garden. Yeah,
right. We've seen that before.
But I will say Holt is in a position that Hubert is not in, which is that he'll just put Bryce's ass on the bench, and Hubert can't really do that with Caleb. Like kind of you can, I guess, but like not
Yeah,
not to the extent that Holt will do. Holt will straight up like
bench him for the rest of the game.
You're done for the rest of the game. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Hubert benched him in the first half against Georgia Tech for Trimble. Seth Trimble played great. He and RJ played great with each other. Then Caleb came out in the second half and played great, and it looked like Caleb from the Final Four again. And you're saying to yourself, wait a second, so you can do it. So that at least I hope there's something there. I hope that something ignites with this team, but we'll see.
Well, there you go. We are going to be in Madison Square Garden. We're going to do a show after the game, win or lose. I guess one of us has to win, one of us has to lose, but no matter what happens, I guess I'm trying to think of a scenario. What is a scenario where we wouldn't do the show?
I guess if the game got postponed, we would not. Like if Ronald Reagan was
shot. If Ronald Reagan gets shot, we're not doing the game, or we're not doing a podcast. If the refs are bad both ways,
okay, that's a good call. Yeah.
I just hope for a fair whistle, man. I really do. I just hope,
Well, the good news is that we have so many good games on Saturday outside of our game that
many good games.
We can always talk about Alabama,
we're gonna
Indiana, Kansas, Houston, Virginia. There's so many good games.
We're gonna talk about UCLA, Kentucky too. We're gonna be in the building for that. We're fired up for that game. That's gonna be awesome too, because that's a great opportunity for Kentucky to announce that they are very much still a factor in this.
Still in it. Yep.
They're still in it. And it's a great opportunity for UCLA to say, we've never left. We've always been here. Great Saturday slate. We no longer have to watch Florida A&M at Louisville. What other games are there? Houston, Virginia,
Tennessee, Arizona.
Yep. Tennessee, Arizona's that's going to be awesome. I think Arizona gets their revenge on that one.
Yeah,
best defense in the country, best offense in the country. Tennessee, just let Arizona run offense all night, and then if Tennessee gets a stop, they get a point and a half or something.
Right.
Let's do it that way.
I love
every stop's a point and a half, and then once Tennessee gets the ball, they check it back up. It's Arizona ball, and away we go.
And we also have the Lawyer Bowl. We have Fletcher versus Foster in the Davidson Purdue game, so that'll be a good game.
Can I do since all the eyeballs are no longer on Louisville, Florida A&M? Can I take the eyeballs and put them on another under the radar game?
Mm-hmm.
UConn is going to Hinkle Fieldhouse Tate. And I'm not saying it's going to be a win for the Bulldogs. I'm not. I will not go that far. Because this UConn team is the best team in the country and playing very good basketball. So I'm not going to put the pressure on Butler. I'm just going to say that I'm currently in Indianapolis. I was at Hinkle at the practice today, at Butler practice. There's magic in the air, Tate. That's all I'm going to say. Hinkle magic is I am personally guaranteeing that there's some Hinkle magic on Saturday. Now, what does that look like? I'm leaving it ambiguous also intentionally. I don't know. But there will be Hinkle magic. Maybe Red Panda does halftime and she hits the 5 bulls. Maybe that's what I meant. I don't know. I can change the definition to my as I see fit, But I'm sensing a little Hinkle magic. That's all I'm gonna say.
I see at least a lead at halftime. That's what I see in my mind. I see a Butler lead at halftime and an eyes emoji tweet from Mark Titus. That's what I see in my future. I'm not saying it's gonna lead to a win. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there's a chance that Butler is up in this game and we get excited.
Maybe they cover, Maybe it's just that. Maybe they cover the spread. And I'm like, see, told you, Hinkle magic. But there's going to be some Hinkle magic that goes on Saturday. That is a guarantee. I promise you that. So there you have it. Any other shout outs before we go?
I think that's it for me. I'm excited. I mean, fly out to New York tomorrow morning and we get a nice setup on Saturday. A lot of good basketball, and this is what we dream of as college basketball fans. A big slate on Saturday.
I had one more shout out. Shout out our guy Seth, friend of the program. DM me and crunch the numbers, and I have no idea if this is true. I didn't fact check it, but his research looked good enough that I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna report it as fact. Seems like you did a lot of work here. The question that you posed, Tate, who owns the Barclays Center? You said it's Mike Young in Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Our guy Seth DMs me and says, not true. The man who owns the Barclays Center is Dean Ambrose, who is now known as John Moxley, and AEW. Used to be Dean Ambrose in WWE, who apparently has a 10-1 record in his career in Barclays Center and has won just like an insane number of titles in matches that have taken place in the Barclays Center. And I don't know, that level of research deserves a hat tip. So thank you, Seth, for So there you go. So I think Virginia Tech and Dean Ambrose in a ladder match or something to determine Mike Young versus Dean Ambrose in a no holds barred match to determine who's the king of the Barclays Center. I think maybe we need to set that up or something.
I could see Hunter Couture being a wrestler in AEW someday. So there you go. We'll set that up. But I appreciate the research. Look, I didn't confirm that Virginia Tech owns Barclays Center, but it felt right. But I didn't even know Dean Ambrose switched tours and switched his name. So I needed that.
I didn't either. I didn't know that either until I've fallen out of wrestling. But
right.
You know,
once I stopped producing the Matt's Man and stopped talking to Jim Cunningham while he smoked cigarettes, I know less and less about wrestling.
My final shout out is Benedict Mathurin is him. I can confirm. Boots on the ground in Indianapolis. I was in town for the Warriors Pacers game last night, and
nice.
There's Benedict Mathurin's him. I can confirm. He's him. There's the city's buzzing. They're buzzing with the Benedict buzz is real. Is all I'm gonna say.
Was he ranked? Was he ranked above Derek White in the Ringer's top 100 players?
Dude, I've seen enough from Benedict Mathurin at this point to say that if they honestly give Rookie of the Year to Paolo, I will January 6th in the NBA offices. I will. Right. I will do that. And I think it's gonna happen. And I'm not. I don't know, dude. I'm already fired up about that reality that we're going to live
let's
in.
be honest. There's one franchise player on the Magic, and it's not Paolo. It's Bol Bol. I mean,
of course,
Bol Bol is taking all the shine away from Paolo's rookie campaign. And if people don't want to admit it, that's on you, because give Bol Bol Rookie of the Year, even though he's like in his 5th year. Just be like, finally they let this guy play. I mean, he's unbelievable. So I'm with you, Mathurin, Bol Bol, most improved. Let's get back to basketball. That's what we want. Let's get back to basketball.
All right, that's the show. We will do a show, Saturday night after the games. We're gonna head back to the hotel, record, and give a instant reaction type deal. So look for that, and Otherwise, everybody enjoy the weekend. Fun day of games on Saturday, and we'll do our best to break it all down. See you then.
Thanks.